all my joy friends, and welcome to Once Upon a Storybook. My name is Cynthia with Cynthia's Joyful Creations, and today we're going to look at another story from the book In the Arms of Angels by Joan Wester Anderson. And today's angel story is called Voice in the Fire. Angels are speaking to all of us. Some of us are only listening better. And that quote was from an anonymous person. Mark is a volunteer firefighter in West Central Ohio. The responsibilities of a volunteer firefighter are mostly the same as a career firefighter, Mark says, except we are not on duty. The volunteers meet once a month for training and a general business meeting. If a fire breaks out, anyone who's in town goes to the station to get the truck, and the others proceed directly to the scene. Everyone is trained to enter, search and rescue, ventilate the roof, and operate the pump, among other tasks. In addition, Mark is a paramedic, the only one in his district. He can use a defibrillator, give drugs, place a breathing tube, and administer an IV. Recently, the fire alarm sounded regarding an unoccupied mobile home. When Mark got to the scene, few firefighters had arrived and the structure was blazing. He decided to go in. My partner and I entered through the back door of the trailer, Mark says. Firefighters always travel in pairs. We kept low to the floor to avoid any superheated gases that might be higher up. Mark had control of the hose nozzle and his partner was helping drag the hose. Mark saw an orange glow, directed the nozzle toward it, and put out that part of the fire easily. The men crawled through a doorway into a second room filled with furniture and items lying all around. Being in a fire is nothing like what they show on TV, Mark says. If you're lucky, you might be able to see the hose you're carrying, but the smoke is so thick that everything else is done by touch, and of course, you're wearing heavy leather gloves. It was extremely difficult to see, but eventually Mark located the source of the flames and directed water at it. But the flames kept coming back. This told us that the fire was being fueled by something other than solid material, like propane or heating oil. It is still possible, Mark says, to contain the spread of such a fire by shutting off the fuel supply or wetting down the materials around the fire. Mark assumed that the men now gathering outside the trailer had already turned off the fuel supply, so he and his partner opted to stay inside and keep watering the flames. It was about this time that I began to feel uneasy. At first it was just a sense that something wasn't right. Mark thought it was like his imagination, but the feeling persisted. Then he heard a clear voice. "Mark," it said, "you need to go." Mark was astonished. The voice was audible, definitely male, with no accent. It couldn't be his partner. He was too far away to be heard. Nor were there any openings in the trailer where someone else could yell through. And an air pack distorts a voice. It's kind of a Darth Vader effect, not like the voice he was hearing now, which was so definite and intimate that it was almost at his ear. On an instinctive level, Mark recognized that it was one I could trust and obey. But who was it, and where was it coming from? Mark kept working, and a few moments later he heard the message again. "Okay," Mark said in his mind to the voice. "I'll go pretty soon. Let me hit this a little more and see if I can get somewhere." The voice was not convinced. "Mark," it answered in a no-nonsense tone. "You need to go now." The voice did not sound angry that he had been ignoring it. It sounded as if it was just giving me an urgent warning, like a father would speak to his child. Mark could disregard the command no longer. He turned, motioned to his partner, and the two crouched down to make their way back to the first room. It was hard going because of all the debris strewn around. As they reached the first room, Mark saw flames and realized that a flashover was coming, something that all firefighters dread. It can happen when the contents of a room are so hot that they explode, engulfing a room in seconds. Gear might keep you alive for a minute if you're caught in a flashover, Mark says, but you will still be seriously burned. In fact, the survival rate for firefighters caught in a flashover is only about 4%. Get down! Get down! Mark yelled at his partner, and they hit the floor. Mark aimed water at the flash flame and drove it back just enough for the two to scramble out the door. Had they still been in the second room or in the first room for just a few more seconds, they probably would have been badly injured or worse. Outside now, as the fire waned, Mark thought more seriously about the voice. Oddly, it seemed as if he had heard it before. Yes, now he remembered. He had been 17 when he lost control of a van as he braked to avoid hitting a deer. The vehicle had rolled over a fence and landed on its top. Mark had assumed he would die within a few minutes, but he heard a voice reassuring him. Wait and see how this plays out. Mark had pushed away his panic and sustained only a few cuts as he crawled to safety. But who was the voice? After the trailer fire, Mark thought about it, and finally he told a friend, another firefighter, about his experience. This man had served more than 2 tours of duty in Vietnam as a ranger extensively involved in combat, and he had served a stint in Desert Storm. He immediately knew what Mark was describing. I've heard that voice on a number of occasions, in fires and in combat, the veteran told Mark, and I learned to listen to it. The times I got hurt were when I didn't. Mark doesn't think he will ever forget this experience. Every now and then, when he sees a sunset or steps outside on a crisp winter morning, he says, I thank God that I am still around to experience these things. I personally believe that I owe my life to whoever's voice that was. Maybe God, maybe an angel. I don't know, but I'm sure glad he was on my entry team. Wow, what another amazing story. Well, thank you for joining me for another angel story with Once Upon a Storybook. And until next Tuesday, be joyful, everyone. And I can't wait to come back and share another angel story with you. See you soon. Bye.